Hello and welcome to Out of This World. And I'm Jamie Hanshaw, and I'm back with my good friend Melissa DeCourcy, personal trainer, Orthodox Christian, lovely lady who makes everything fun. And tonight we're gonna talk about fat. This is called The Big Fat Show, and we're gonna talk about body positivity and everything that goes along with that. And when we did a show a couple times ago and we were talking about red flags, and we had mentioned that being overweight can be a red flag in mate selection, right?
Definitely.
Not just
And just in case.
yeah, not just aesthetically, but also for your character. I'm not saying that fat is bad. I'm just saying it can be an indication of uh willpower and discipline, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And we got a comment and it was really sad. And it said, I'm overweight. Does that mean that I don't deserve love? And I was like, no, of course not. That's not what we're saying. But people in the comments, they take things and they stretch them really far away from, what you're trying to get across. So tonight we're going to be having fun. We're going to talk about fat, weight loss, body positivity, Lizzo. Uh, Lizzo's in the news with her Lizzo's lawsuit. But first, I wanted to tell you guys where I'm coming from because we might make some fat jokes, but I am one of you. I know it doesn't look like it, but I brought pictures to prove to you that I wasn't always, people shaped. So, starting with this one, I went through all my baby pictures and my childhood stuff trying to get the fat pictures. And I just thought this was really funny. So this was really early. You see that t-shirt? Jamie's like a little muffin wearing ET Lives t-shirt.
Oh.
Um, this is the behind of a dog that I picked up at the gas station.
Oh.
He just jumped in the car and said, I'm your dog now. And I said, okay.
Oh. Did he last a while?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Name is Gene. We all loved him. Golden Lab, very cute. But so I haven't always been the glamour puss that you guys are used to. And then I found this one. I was talking about how I'm not really a Barbie girl, but I did love My Little Ponies. Can you see that?
Oh,
So
yes. Oh, I had a shelf that looked just like that. I loved the My Little Ponies.
there's Jamie with her little ponies. Um, and now we're getting to maybe this is about 10 years old. Okay. Uh, Look at this feral child right there.
Oh, look at those bangs.
Oh, yeah. The bangs, the split teeth, the dirty t-shirt, and the whole, yeah, that's glamour shot right
It's so cute.
there. Now we're getting up to like teenage years. I found this a little chunky, a
Oh,
little
wow. Okay.
some fat in the face, legs, little tummy. Um,
Oh.
and what am I reading? Babysitter's Club.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Got to have Babysitter's Club in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
So this is right on the cusp of puberty, and that's when I really started to blow up, right? Because the food in the 90s, I mean, we could do a whole show about just what we were eating. It was like disgusting, right?
And we had no idea either. That's what everybody ate. There
Yeah,
was no social media telling us what to eat. We ate what our parents told us and what the
no,
kids were eating at school, and that's how we lived.
we ate, I can't believe it's not butter.
Oh, yeah.
And shed spread country crock, which is spread, it's not even butter, right? It's margarine or petroleum or whatever is in that. I ate a lot of ragu and pasta, that nasty like canned.
Uh-huh.
We ate a lot of Chef Boyardee spaghettios. Of course, you got your sugar cereals. Lucky Charms were my favorite. What was your favorite cereal?
Definitely Lucky Charms. We ate Cheerios. We were a
Okay.
big Cheerios family. We were actually a ramen noodles family for
Yep.
breakfast. For
Ooh, okay.
breakfast. Yes. We had all the different flavors. We thought we were so cool. We had the beef flavor and the chicken flavor and the spicy chicken flavor. Yeah. Remember
those don't
Lunchables?
even, yeah, what are those noodles even made of? It's like
I
barely
don't even.
digestible. Okay, so and then not to mention all the snacky snacks like Gushers and fruit roll-ups.
Yes.
If I ever got $1, I'd walk my little chunky butt down to 7-Eleven, which is a block away, to buy a Snickers bar and a Score bar.
Remember Slurpees too? I would mix the cherry and the Coke.
Heck yes.
Yes.
What else do we eat that was disgusting? Just like almost everything was high fructose corn syrup, processed, um, corn pops, cookie. What are those cookie grams? What were those cereals?
There's Pop Tarts.
Pop Tarts. I love those. Okay, here, this, you guys, this is so gross. I used to take Kool-Aid and eat it, like the powder. So sugar was definitely my drug of choice. And so yeah, the 90s sneak up on you. And then you eat too much Kool-Aid and boom.
Oh, there she is.
Whoa,
Yes.
look at that thing.
I
It's not just the fat, it's like the whole thing is a mess. Like the t-shirt is
like the
way
jean.
too
Is it a
big.
jean? Is it like a
Yeah.
jean jacket type of thing?
It
Jean
was
overshirt.
it
Yeah.
was a dress that didn't
Oh.
say button because I was too chubby. What? Am I trying to be seductive? No, it just won't stay shut over my big old thighs. You see that? Like, I'm trying to take a family photo and my dress is like unbuttoned up to my waist. So
I like it. I like
yeah.
it.
Here's me and my hot friend that
Oh
I
my
thought was like hot back in the church days, but we just look like two church weasels. So no wonder no boys wanted to accept my candy bars back then. No wonder.
I
Um,
can tell you were nervous because you were like grabbing the one finger. That's what we did, in the
oh yeah,
pictures. Like you're kind of awkward.
I
What I
don't know
can
what to
hear.
do. I'm like grabbing my
What do
chubby
I
hand. Yep.
do?
And then boom, getting up to 13, 14. You got your Lion King rocking the Simba sweater. You see that?
Yep.
So pretty chubby. 15, 16. Now the hair, my God, the bangs. What was I doing?
Did you curl? Is it curled
Oh
under?
yeah, curling
Oh
iron
yeah.
bangs.
I remember that. Yes, yes, yes.
So, I mean, the color not bad, but the whole like pale face, chubby body, curled bangs not good. And
You
then
look like you have a secret too.
I
Like
know it's
hiding
such a weird
something.
look on my like I thought I looked pretty, like you know what I mean?
Like a little bit seductive.
Not
I
trying to
like
do that.
it.
Okay, and then last but not least, this was when I had to be in the nativity play, but I didn't have a part. I was just like child number 5 or something. I didn't have, there was no reason for me to be on the stage. And what is that? Is that two kids in a trench coat or is that me? In the big floral dress standing next to Mary. I don't know why. But yeah, there's Fat Jamie. So I think about my highest, I was like probably 190. That's not too shabby for a fatty, right? That's pretty
That,
chunky.
that's getting up there. That's
Yeah.
getting up there. Yeah.
So you guys, I know your pain because I have been through it. I have struggled with weight pretty much my whole life. And I don't know, you remember Y2K, right?
Yes.
So back when I was 19, 20, that those years, it was all the rage to be as thin as possible, right? Kate
Hmm.
Moss. I found this picture. Remember Nicole Richie and
I remember that. Paris Hilton. Is that who it
no,
is?
Nicole, it's this one's Nicole Richie and Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, okay,
And they
okay.
said this
Oh,
had
they're
been
there.
Photoshop, but they look like walking skeletons, right?
Uh-huh.
And as I was going through these pictures, I saw pictures of myself at like 20 to 25 when I thought I was really chubby, but I looked normal
Hmm.
because I was trying to be like, Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears during Y2K or Kate Moss or like, Paris Hilton. And those body standards were extremely thin, right?
Hmm.
Um, Bony. gaunt, hip bones jutting out, very thin arms, like 1 or 2% body fat, right?
Right, right.
And then the implants, the breast implants to give it
Mm-hmm.
some curve. Because
Mm-hmm.
you can't have jiggly boobs if you don't have jiggly fat other places.
That's right. Unless
Right?
it's fake.
Yeah. So do you remember when Jessica Simpson made headlines for she did a concert, it was outdoors and she was like wearing jeans and a
Mhm.
top and a like a leopard print something, but they were like splashed all over the news like fat Jessica and what has she done and what and you look at it now and you're like, that's not that bad. Like that's not even it was just normal.
She's one of my favorites because she went to my high school.
Oh, really?
So yes, so she I don't know if she still does it, but she would come back every year and give a free concert for our high school because she went there and but I always watched her and she kind of looked like me with the blonde hair and I watched all of this go on and watching her like go up in a few pounds and down a few pounds. That really affected me. I remembered that. You know, and she was always that video these boots are made for walking. I mean, she was like what that was like the perfect thing that we were supposed to do. And then you're right,
Yeah.
that one with all the jeans, the and everyone saying she looked so big. That was really like she couldn't even gain a half a pound without everyone freaking out.
Literally the angle was from down here to, so that's anybody's gonna look fat from that angle. And then do you remember Britney Spears gave a concert after her baby, or she gave an appearance at an award show. She was wearing black, and they said, "Oh, she looks so fat. She just had 2 kids, and she didn't look fat at all." Like I look back at that, and I'm like, "This is what we were calling fat." And then I was remembering Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
That was big when we were, in our 20s.
Yes.
And all those girls on there were
Skinny, skinny,
super
skinny.
thin. Like
Yes.
you could break them in half thin.
I always remember talking with my girlfriends. We all wanted the collarbone. That
Hmm.
popping collarbone was like the thing.
Yeah.
And
And
you have to
even,
be super skinny to, and yeah, the shoulder like right up
yeah,
here. You want
so you
everything.
can see the whole collarbone. People wanted that. You could see all the hips jutting out. That was the look to
Your
emulate.
ribs, you wanted to be able to see the bottom ribs. That
Yes.
was a
And
thing.
we wore our jeans like way low.
Yes,
Remember?
yeah.
So you could see your thong almost.
I mean, you could see the pockets coming out at the bottom too.
Yeah.
Like that, so they were short as well. I mean, it was just there's no winning. There was no winning.
No.
You couldn't get it all.
So this is the kind of paradigm that we came of age in, and we were like, we're sick of this. Like this is not fat to be normal size. Like 130 pounds is average, right?
Right,
Like
right.
people size. And I remember the first time Jennifer Lopez came out with her booty, and that I feel like that was the beginning of like a a shift from rail thin supermodel to more curvaceous, maybe like Victoria's Secret, or even like more ethnic bodies like Latina, or black girls, and like because Beyonce would sing "I'm Bootylicious,"
Right,
but she
right.
was toned and she was thin, she
Mm-hmm.
was curvy. She had the big hips and the big thighs and the big booty, just like Jessica Simpson. So this is like the winds of change are blowing in, and it was refreshing.
It was.
It was refreshing to see people sing about a body, or like have confidence in being yourself.
Or being somewhat healthy. Or being,
Yeah,
having something where you can manage your life. You really, if you're that thin, you're really not managing life. All you're focusing on is how not to eat. So
I
it was
have
nice to see regular people walking around.
I have been that thin. I have been bone skinny where it hurt to sit on my butt because the butt bones are pressing on my skin, like I have been so thin, not because I was dieting. I was, going through a lot like depression and anxiety and stuff like that. But, people made comments like, wow, you are very scary skinny. I'm like, I know, I'm trying. It's just takes a lot of calories to be stressed out. um, right?
It does.
Um, so then we have the advent of internet porn and anime,
Mm. Mm.
uh, and female bodies went under a more intense scrutiny to the extreme of things like Brazilian bikini wax and, labia bleaching and butthole bleaching and just like what on earth? Who is examining your body parts that closely that you need to bleach them unless you're like trying to be camera ready.
Right. Right.
So right now we're just kind of going through the history of what I feel like this body positivity movement sprang out of and what it became and where it's going. But it was kind of a needed uh, counterbalance to Kate Moss and like unhealthy. They called it heroin chic. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah. So then came corn, then came anime. So it wasn't enough just to be thin and bleached. Now you have to look like a little baby Japanese cartoon, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were salons for that all over the place. I lived in New York City from 20, was it 2008 until 2017. And in that time, I remember this explosion of those salons, and that's where you went, and all the girls were going. So it was almost like the corn industry poured out into making all the girls feeling like that's how everyone had to be. But they
Mm-hmm.
were on every corner.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you had to be hairless, prepubescent, no imperfections, no stretch marks, no humanity, no personality, nothing, just a wax cartoon or something like that. And then the animated porn, oh, corn, gave way to like the extreme body mod, like the BBLs and the bigger implants and just making the whole thing very cartoonish. Like Jessica Rabbit is body goals. Kim Kardashian, her body was very cartoonish,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Um, so you got Kim Kardashian and then you got Nicki Minaj and those. And so these are the famous butts now. Back in Y2K, it was J-Lo and Beyonce, and then you had Kardashian, Nicki Minaj as, the butts to have. And this is where it starts getting like going off the rails. Like it's okay to be obese,
Mm-hmm.
right? So before, all we were trying to say is like it's okay to eat food and not be 100 pounds, right? Or it's okay to have a baby and expect that it's going to take time for your body to bounce back, or if it ever even does go back to the original size.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then came, like Lizzo. So we're going to talk about her as a example, and we're going to talk about her lawsuit because it is bonkers. Have you heard of it? I
I
read the
read,
whole thing.
yeah, I read a little bit of it. I mean, I believe that stuff is happening, especially with all the research kind of you do, especially in that kind of industry. I mean, I believe that. Of
Yeah.
course, believe that that happened in Amsterdam.
So you got Lizzo, you've got oh, do you remember Wilson Phillips?
Mm-mm.
The the three girls, they're like, I know there's pain. Why do you lock yourself up in these chairs? Remember?
Yeah. Yes.
So she was fat shamed for sure because they were like a trio. And I remember that music video. Carney Wilson is her name. And
It was also in the movie Bridesmaids,
oh,
right
was
at the
it?
end. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they didn't give her any like camera time in the music video because she was too chunky. And for Adele, they did the same thing to her. Like they wouldn't let her dance at first. They just had her seated all the time and shot from different, angles that didn't show all of her
Oh
body.
wow, I didn't even think that that's why. I just thought she liked to be sitting down. I
What?
never thought about
Why
it.
is she singing Rolling in the Deep and she's just sitting on a chair in a room? She should have been dancing. I mean, that's a fun song. Like it's a fun, soulful song.
Mm-hmm.
But they just made her sit down because, you're too fat to dance. So this is the standards that we're trying to rail against, which were not good, but the extreme opposite is not good either. Right.
Right.
And it's funny that we're talking about divas because they've always had a tendency to become, more Rubenesque over the
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
But we love them because they're talented and they're diva. Like no one cares if Aretha Franklin is chunky or not. Like she's a queen of soul, right? But it has always been secondary to their talent. It
Right.
wasn't the fat wasn't part of the show,
Right.
right? We love you in spite of that, or it doesn't even matter because you're just so effervescent and talented. But what we're going to be talking about tonight is that fat acceptance, as we know it right now, is another gateway to transhumanism. Would you agree with that?
Ooh, I hadn't thought of it that way, but yes.
And later on, I'm going to try and read to you guys from this book, which is my next Rockfin show. I had to pause Tiny Mustache Man, which I was almost done with when I saw what Elon Musk was moving Twitter towards with the X. And I said, if he uses an X with a circle, I'm going to read this book. And lo and behold, his profile picture is now an X with a circle. And you're going to freak out when you hear what that means. But tonight, we're going to talk about the inversion of the senses and black magic. So making ugly things beautiful, not
Mm.
in an alchemical nice way, but in a like you need to uh love disgusting things to transcend your magic powers. So we're gonna get into that in a second. But so yeah, fat acceptance is another gateway to transhumanism. It's just another way to defy God and how he created people in his image,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because God is
Mm-hmm.
not globulous shapes. He's if Christ looked like a man, he had a normal person's body, and that is the standard that we should be trying to achieve. Do you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they talk a lot about beauty, and yes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, of course. Someone's inner beauty can outshine, obviously, any flaws that they have, right? And you can fall in some love with someone, you can be attracted to them your whole life, even if they don't look like a model because of love and inner beauty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is not what fat acceptance is about. Fat acceptance is about destroying the image of God and the image of man,
That's right.
um, and altering our perception of beauty. So there's different kinds, like there is objective beauty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Golden proportions. The human body demonstrates the mathematical equation for beauty, the phi ratio, and the circle and the square and the pentagram. And I'm thinking of like Vitruvian Man, you know what I'm talking about, where he's
I
like,
do.
he can square the
In the
circle.
circle.
Yeah. And also you see in magic a lot a human body placed inside of a pentagram, an upright pentagram, right? So the more distorted this image becomes, the further away it is from God's creation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like we talked about before, being overweight could signal the vice of gluttony. It could. Uh, it could signal narcissism. It could signal weak willpower. It could signal low IQ in the way that you take care of yourself because
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk you have these really good charts that you brought about like weight loss because you're a personal trainer and that's why I brought you on tonight. So you are fitness expert. But
I do my best, but I'm also one of you. So Jamie had asked me, you'd asked me to send me some or send you some pictures earlier today, and it was painful to go through all these pictures. I had a moment in my life from 2012 to 2015 where I was super depressed. Something had happened to me in my life, and I had been one of those girls, similar to Jamie, growing up in the Britney Spears time where I wanted to look like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Mariah Carey. And that was my whole thing. That was my identity. I didn't have a Christian identity. I wanted to be beautiful like these girls. So my whole, and I, being raised with ramen noodles and things like that, I struggled. So the only way I knew how to do it was to not eat very
Mhm.
much, because that was the only, I mean, the food that I was eating had all these additives, and I wasn't eating healthy food. So my whole life was a big struggle to stay skinny and blonde and wearing the right clothes. And it was just a constant struggle. And in 2012, I mean, I was in my 20s by this point. I just decided to let it all go. And I did. And I shot up to over 200 pounds. And it was great, actually, for a little while. Because I had been struggling for so long just to say, nope, I'm going to indulge in whatever I want. And that's what I did for 3 years. And I got really big, really fast, and noticed a lot of different changes. People treated me differently. I felt funnier in general. I felt way more laid back. Um,
Interesting.
I was invited to a lot more parties. People were nicer to me, if you can believe that.
Huh.
Um, People would, yeah, I felt like a lot more people wanted to be my friends than I was used to. But of course, at the end, towards 2015, when I started getting really big and I wasn't able to fit into regular clothes, that's when I had to get it back together. And that's when I actually decided to do it the right way. I had to get a trainer and I had to actually watch what I was eating. But I will say it was very much relieving from a life of constantly never feeling like I could do it well. I always had to be thin and pretty, and that was all I have, to shifting into now, no, it is a constant struggle. There's no shortcuts. You're right. We are made in God's image, and it's our job to take ourselves and put ourselves in check to make sure that we stay healthy so we can pray, so we can do what we need to do, take care of responsibilities. And that looks different than just trying to look a certain way. It's like
Hmm.
being the best version of you so that you can perform your duties appropriately, so that was a major shift. But I'm glad that I had both. It's interesting to have a swing from 102 pounds at my lightest in college to 202 pounds 10 years later.
Hmm.
That's really what girls go through. I mean, it really is. I heard in one documentary say that 91% of women in the United States are at war with their bodies, and I only train women now, and I believe that's true. So I think there are some of us that are finally getting confident, but it's a real struggle for women.
Can I show your picture?
Yeah. There's
There's Melissa.
me.
Oh, not so bad. But alcohol, you've got your little sugary alcohol that will add the pounds faster than a lot of things. Um,
Yes.
and I feel so sorry for people who are trying to lose weight now because they have the discipline, but they're being told a lot of lies. They're being sold a lot of useless things. Diet food is useless, right? If it says
Right.
diet, don't eat it. Diet Coke,
Right.
diet anything. If it says
Right.
sugar-free, diet all of that stuff is poison. Artificial sweeteners are poison. Um, we're just being bombarded with things that will make you fat on a daily basis without you even having to eat. Like, because fat also protects you from things that are toxic. You know, if you have heavy metals and other things, like your fat cells are gonna try and shield you from that because you can't process it,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what were we talking about? Oh, vices. Yes. Okay. So, overweight people could signal that you have a problem with food. That's really easy. That's like the easiest diagnosable um, problem that somebody has, right? Because it's visible. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know if someone's a liar. You don't know if someone's cheating all the time. You don't know if someone's greedy, but you can know that if they are overweight, then they need to repair their relationship with food. Let's put it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, and vices always make friends with other vices. That's what they teach you in church. Like it's a little chain link thing. And fasting is the way to get out of a lot. of spiritual bondage, even if it has nothing to do with weight gain or weight loss or food or anything. I mean, people who have problems with lust or, gambling or whatever, they tell you to fast from food because you're exercising your willpower,
Right.
right?
On a regular basis with someone watching you. So there's observance, people, you have someone to be held accountable to. Absolutely. Fasting can be really good. And that goes for people that are super big into working out. If you're really, really big in eating correctly,
Mm-hmm.
it forces you, those of us who are in the church, to not eat meat and dairy twice a week at least, to step back from that and be like, okay, what's the big picture? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can go the other way and be like, okay, well, I was out of control. So now I'm going to have this much protein, this much, and you get really rigid. Well, fasting kind of makes you step back from that and be like, okay, well, today I'm not going to eat any meat. So the church is really great in that aspect.
And I found this subreddit that doesn't exist anymore, but it was full of hilarious stories about they didn't know what they were calling it back then, but they were called people ham planets.
Ham planets.
And but it was always like I had a run-in with this ham planet. It wasn't just a person who was fat. It was like a person who was rude, selfish,
Oh,
narcissistic, loud, just all of the bad character qualities. And they also happened to be fat. So it was
uh-huh.
funny to read the stories of these interactions with these type of people, but now I'm realizing that what those people had was narcissistic personality disorder and they happened to be overweight, right?
I
Which
think they can go together. I like what you were
I
saying
think
about it being a chain. I do think it will go together. I had that experience when I let everything go. Everything did go. The discipline went everywhere. So I was less likely to care about what you thought of me if I did something weird or didn't hold the door for you. Everything kind of went for those few years.
interesting. And as we're gonna see with Lizzo, her problems aren't just with food, they're also, it looks like she has some sexual behavior problems. And this um goes back again to willpower. Like the world or, capitalism or whatever you want to call it is just going to tell you eat as much as you can, have as much sex as you can, just get as much as you possibly can get your hands on and consume it and let other people use your body, right?
Yes. Which reminds me of, have you seen Parks and Rec?
Mm-hmm.
Donna Meagle. She's like, treat yourself.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
That's kind of that personality. Treat yourself. You want a cupcake? Treat yourself. You want to do that? You want to rest all day? That's kind of being encouraged. And her character is like very likable, and everyone's watching it and laughing at it. Oh, well, I want to be like that. So it has kind of been a push in culture to accept
And
that kind
she's
of.
kind of promiscuous too, if you remember right.
Yes. Uh
Yeah.
huh. She is.
So that stuff is going hand in hand. I think we're onto something here. Um, so yeah, this fat acceptance is toxic from several standpoints. We were listening to a show. I can't remember their names. I wish I could. Maybe I'll write it in the comments on the chat room. But there's a nice couple, a Catholic couple who are friends with Jane Rachel who do shows about relationships. And they took a poll and they were like, what do men want in women and what do women want in men? And when they're looking for mates, and it was basically, I don't want a big fat person. Both men and women, like up in the top three things that they do not want is an overweight person. So it's harder for overweight women to attract mates and men too, but mostly women. Like it's more important to guys to have an attractive woman, I think.
Mm.
Agree with that? Like
I
a
don't. I've been looking at relationships
uh-huh.
because I've been single a while, so I'm trying to check this out and figure out what's going on here. I don't know. I think people tend to attract similar lifestyles.
Mm.
So and be meet people in whatever you're doing. So if you're someone who goes to the gym, of course you're going to be want to meet somebody who goes to the gym too because you're both into that. But if you're not into the gym and you're into things like cooking or baking and that's what you do together, you're probably both going to be a little bit plump. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind, just like plump couples or I honestly I wouldn't want to be with a super regimented gym bro either because then I would feel like he would be judging my body, like bringing out the tape measure and the calipers and like,
I have
what is
been
your
with one
fat?
of those gym bros for 2 years, and actually, it was a great experience. He was a bodybuilder, and I
Uh-huh.
had to get over that because I at first I was like, he's going to be judging every single thing, and then as I kept dating him, I realized like, no, no, he's completely all about him. It's not possible to compete. This guy was so out of. I mean, he worked out twice a day. 2 hours each time. I mean, his body, he was at like 5% body fat. Every single meal was regimented. But I realized he just loved it. And he was happy with me. I mean, maybe this is a abnormal situation, but he was happy with me just being me. So that wasn't, I kind of got out of that. But I can see how maybe that would be the case in some men. But this guy was so serious that he was just happy to have me go sit with him at a restaurant while he ordered
Oh,
his chicken fries. Yeah.
okay. So they're not that judgmental. All right. Um,
Well, I don't know. That one particular, I don't know about the other ones, but I could see that it could be a possibility for sure.
so single and unhappy women, we have found out, spent the most money. They tend to spend money on food, drinks, clothes, any kind of dopamine hit, because they're lacking love in their life and they're trying to replace it with material things and
Mm.
experiences, right? So, from a ruthless capitalistic standpoint, it's better to keep people fat so that they consume as much food and products as possible.
Yes, and if you're overweight, your self-esteem is down, so you're much more likely to listen to self-help stuff or diet stuff. You're much more susceptible to propaganda or fake information just to buy things, right?
You
To
don't know
spend your money on.
how, how many like exercise thingies have we wasted our money on and have our mothers wasted their money on? Like, remember the Thigh Master?
Yes, I do remember the time.
Thigh Master, treadmills that just become like,
Rowing
hammer,
machines.
throw your clothes on it. Um,
Uh-huh.
the ab roller, remember that? And even going back to like old timey times, they had those belts that jiggle you. Remember that?
Oh gosh, I
Like,
remember. I mean, all the
how
video.
does
Did the Billy
Pearl keep her figure? Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Right?
What about Billy Blanks? That was my guy. I
Oh,
would go through
Tybo.
those. Yes, I would go through those phases and like go really hard and then just do nothing for like 2 years and be like, I remember Billy Blanks. I'm going to go upstairs and start punching the air. But yeah, I had all
Yeah.
the videos. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're buying all the stuff, you're buying the videos. I actually do love Pilates. And when I was like 19 or 20, I bought my first Pilates DVD, like Windsor Pilates, I think it was called. And I loved that. I mean, I still do that to this day because I memorized the entire routine.
Uh huh.
And yeah, that keeps you looking just fine. The Pilates does. Um, but let's talk about the medical industry for a second, because
Ooh.
the medical industrial complex loves fat people,
Yes.
right?
They're very lucrative.
It's better to keep them unhealthy and overweight and permanent customers of weight loss medication, and medication from the results of being overweight, like
Mhm.
comorbidities, heart disease, diabetes, joints, all of that stuff. So they're selling you weight loss medication like Ozempic. Isn't that what that?
Mm-hmm. Ozempic.
Um, and then the diabetes stuff, the just everything breaks down when obesity is not a disease, right? The disease is insulin resistance,
Right.
which is a condition, not necessarily a disease. It's just a product of our Western diet and habits,
Mm-hmm.
our insulin resistance, right? But they're going to tell you that, you need medication for your disease of obesity, and then you need more medication for the side effects of the weight loss medication. So there's like 4 different categories that they can sell you drugs for,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're literally a cash cow. You're a cow made of cash, consuming things, and you're unhappy, and it's just so crazy. Like, my grandma was part of the Fen class action lawsuit. Do you remember Fen?
My grandfather was as well.
Was he? Did he get
Yes.
heart problems?
He Supposedly, I don't know. I mean, I think he was too embarrassed to talk about it. Because
Oh,
as a
okay.
guy, I don't know. I think as my granddad, he was kind of like, "Oh, I was in the fin thing," but he never really wanted to talk about it. Nobody ever asked him about it. But yeah, he was there.
Yeah. And they were talking about like putting me on this because, when you're a chunky teen, your family talks about you like, what are we going to do about Jamie? Like, she's never going to get married. Um, so I wouldn't take that, but I have taken lots of, a plethora. I've taken the freaking gas station wolf pills that speed up your metabolism, the heart, not the heart pills, but they're just like probably just speed.
Like no dose, is that what they were called?
No, it was like extreme weight loss and it had a wolf on
Oh,
it.
they're like right there at the front whenever you're at 7
Yeah. You get
Yeah.
them right by the checkout, and I would take those, and my heart would go crazy. And so maybe only a couple months did I try that. I tried a juice fast for a long time called the Hollywood diet.
Yes, I had that in my notes too. I
The,
did that too multiple times
the
in high school.
orange juice, it was like orange powder that you mix with water
Yeah,
and
you had to order it in the mail, right? And it would
yeah,
come. Yes, yes.
okay.
It kind of worked, but then of course it would all come back the next week.
Yeah, because you're just drinking sugar just to replace
And you're
energy.
not eating for 3 days, so you're going
Yeah.
to lose something.
Right. So I did the Hollywood fasting juice. What else did I do? I don't think I ever tried that pill that made you like poo oil.
I haven't heard of that one. Which one was
There was
that?
one you could get it at like Walmart or Target, and it was supposed to like bind the fat and eliminate it, but it was just giving people like oily diarrhea. I just can't believe how many crazy fat loss things there are. Um,
I don't know if y'all's, well, you were homeschooled. We had Adderall. That was
okay.
our saving grace. Everybody had Adderall. And if you didn't have Adderall, you could buy it off of somebody else. A lot of the guys had it. So their moms would put them on Adderall if they weren't doing well in school, sell it to the girls. So all the girls had Adderall. And this worked for a while. Was that a thing when you were like high school age?
No, I'm a little too old for like kids taking drugs. So I was right after. I mean, right before that.
Yeah, we
Um,
were the Adderall generation, and everybody was addicted to Adderall, starting in high school all the way up through college. You started faking your prescription for ADD, and so you could get this drug. I mean, because it would take away your appetite, and you could stay skinny.
mhm.
But then, of course, over time, I mean, it would work for a few years, but then you needed more and more and more. Then you couldn't sleep well. Then your cortisol levels went up. Then you started getting depressed, and now you're super addicted to it. And eventually, you're going to have to get off of it because it's like cocaine. It's like an actual drug. But yeah, that was huge.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so whatever like over the counter diet pill, I've probably tried it when I was young. They all gave me heart palpitations because it's probably speed in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, they never work. Like you just yo-yo up and down. You go from like looking really cute to being really chunky in the course of a couple months. And it's so frustrating. You feel like giving up, like you said, like screw this. I'm just gonna be a fatty and I'm gonna be jolly and people are gonna like me anyways.
It works temporarily.
But the goal is to be healthy. And that's
Right.
how they couch this body positivity stuff in because like don't starve yourself. That's not healthy. But these people are not starving, obviously. Lizzo's not starving. And so from this diet industry standpoint, it's better if people don't have the knowledge or the tools to stay in shape on their own, right?
Right.
For making money. And I believe it's more cruel to encourage people to remain overweight than to encourage them to lose weight. What do you think? I think it's a form of gaslighting, honestly. This body positivity movement, it's pretty sadistic when you think about it.
It really is because women have such a hard time accepting their bodies. And all of us at some point or other have struggled with, well, I don't know about all of us, but weight has always been a thing. So if you really push these messages of you're fine how you are, just accept who you are, that's like music to people's ears that have been always just badgered on their weight and not being good enough or whatever. So it's finally like, oh, you can relax. But the problem with it is if you really embrace that message without the caveat of, yeah, but we're not going to be unhealthy, then you can really go the other way. So I think you're right. It is really sadistic. It's like a playing on these insecurities and vulnerabilities.
Well, not just that, for like women to tell other women, oh yeah, girl, you look good. And then like,
Yes.
not like you turn away and go, it's
I
just,
hate that when people are like, oh, I can't even, if, for example, now I'm very in tune with if I do gain 5, 10 pounds, like I know I'm working out all the time. I don't need anyone to give me fake, oh, you look so great. Cause I can tell. So if someone does that, I immediately don't trust them. Oh, I can't even tell that you've gained 10 pounds. And I'm like, yes, you can. I don't want that. Like, I want someone who be like, yeah, all right, well, when are you gonna lose it? Something real. But as women, we're so encouraged to never hurt each other's feelings or pretend like it doesn't exist. And it's more hurtful at that level. We
yeah.
can go, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you look good, obviously, but yeah, you could probably get back down.
Well, it's like keeping women unattractive, they remain no threat in competition for mates. So a thin girl will be like, yes, queen, you're beautiful at any size. In the back of her mind, she's like, yeah, and I want to go clubbing with you because you make me look better.
That's right. That's
Right.
exactly what happened to me when I got overweight. All the girls wanted to be my friend. And then I will never forget the look on their face. I changed jobs and then I came back to the job where everyone knew me as fat, but I wasn't anymore. I was super fit. The look on their face was like I had betrayed them and
Mm,
I had done something terribly wrong and they were just disgusted. So it is like that.
yeah. So it's like, who's the real mean girl? The girl who's like gently correcting someone if they ask you and being like, well, how can I help you achieve your goals? Or the girl who's like, no, you look great.
Right.
So I think it's a lot more mean girl behavior to accept people the way they are when you know they're not happy with it because
Right.
their knees hurt, they can't breathe, they can't go up steps, they can't, you know what I mean? Like they can't walk in the heat, they can't do anything. And just this beautiful at any size comes from a very envious, insecure place from other women.
I agree with that. One of the best things I heard when I was super overweight was I was trying to go up this mountain in Morocco with my brother. And I kept like huffing and puffing. And I thought it was funny because I was so used to people thinking I was funny now. Like I had lost it completely, thinking I was just this big jovial person now. And I was huffing and puffing. And, oh, I can't believe how hard this is. And my brother got mad. I was like, this is really embarrassing, Melissa. Like he was embarrassed in front of these tour guides that were with us. And that really kind of snapped me out of it. That was more love. It wasn't mean. He was like legit embarrassed and like for his sister, like stop. And I loved that because that was real
Mm-hmm.
rather than people, back in New York being like, oh, you're so fun. No, you just stay how you are. I love hanging out. So
I
yeah, I think it is a kind thing to do to kind of call someone out in a loving way.
It's strange how overweight women go farther in comedy. Like you just said, I was more funny. People laughed more around me, which is a great thing, but it's at your own health and expense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so overweight women comedians can go a lot farther, I feel like, than thin ones.
Mm-hmm.
Fat is funny. It's just when it's like a human thing.
They make them more relatable. You can see their flaws, you're less threatened,
Good point.
right?
Yeah,
Like this is not a threat to you. Let's laugh. Whereas if they are super fit and hot and just as funny, they're like, oh no, you can't be pretty and funny. No, 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 no. Get off this. Like, that's not okay.
right.
If that's a threat, we don't want that.
And we kind of talked about the inner beauty. Of course, it can come out and you can be radiant at any size or, above and beyond your physical appearance, but that stuff comes from virtue,
Mm-hmm.
which is getting more and more rare. And that's kind of what I was talking about hand planets. Like they were overweight and fat and not virtuous at all. And so they deserve some kind of ridicule. But there's a certain beauty that you can only see with the heart or the noose, right? And that
Right.
sees past chubby and stretch marks and whatever you have. And this is like what keeps couples attracted to each other throughout their changing seasons of life. Why would you still be attracted to your husband when he has no hair and he's like old and saggy, and you have no teeth, and you still love each other because you see past that.
Right.
um but that's something that takes time. You don't just see a big giant person and be like, wow, that's beautiful. That's just not it's
It's
not
not a virtue to be overweight. Is it a virtue then to be in shape? I would say not. I mean, it shows discipline to be in shape, but it doesn't show the inner beauty. Because
Yeah.
I hang around with in shape people a lot, and not all of them have virtues at all. So that you can have mental disorders, like a lot of bodybuilders have body dysmorphia and they can't see past their nose. They're all about themselves. They're narcissistic. They're all about vanity. So is it a virtue? I don't think it's a virtue to be overweight or underweight or super fit. Like the virtues are much more, like you were saying, deep than that and acquired over time, and you build them with relationships. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
tough. You
that's
have to
perfect.
really look at the person. You can't tell anything by how they look on the outside. It is commendable to see someone who's fit, but you really can't say they're a good person or they have anything until you talk to them.
Hmm.
They have anything real, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, so outward beauty does not always equal virtue. That's very true. You could be a total narcissist and look as hot as possible.
Hmm. Hmm.
um but a person who looks nice and healthy has demonstrated at least some modicum of self-discipline at the bare
Yes.
minimum, right?
Yes.
And good stewardship of ownership of your physical body, which is a gift
Yes.
from God, right? We're not Gnostic.
Right.
And so for me, my appearance, my clothes, my hair, makeup is an extension of my artistic creativity. It's not exactly about being vain or vanity or being the best or whatever. It's just an attempt by me to, restore dignity to myself and the human race by looking presentable as much as I can, right?
I like that.
Um, and so when I was young, there was a moment I had enough. I went swimming and I had a black and white bathing suit on, and all the boys at the pool called me Free Willy because
Oh.
that was the movie coming out at the time. They're like, it's Free Willy. And I was like, damn it, I'm never like that tears it. And what I did as a teenager, I just quit eating. I know that's terrible for you. I know that's not the way to go about it, but I would go days starving myself. I would do sit-ups, all night long. I would like any kind of activity I could do in the middle of the night when no one was watching,
Mm.
leg things and sit up. I didn't know any exercise routines or whatever, but I knew I could do a sit up. So I just like started fasting and exercising. And I did manage to, come down, but I would go blow back up and come down, go up and down. It was very yo-yo for like 20 years. Um until maybe just my 30s, I guess. It evened out and I didn't really have a problem gaining weight because by then, I knew about organic food. I knew about pesticides.
Mhm.
I knew about additives, GMO, um, dyes, all of that. So I wanted to be thin. So that's what kicked off my entire like health quest. I got these Kevin Trudeau books. Do you remember that guy?
Mm-mm.
He was like a early guy talking about Illuminati and health. So this is like Y2K era conspiracies plus health advice. And he was one of the first people who was talking about like you need apple cider vinegar all the time. You need to eat
Mhm.
like fresh foods, organic, whole food. Um, And so if you ever come across him, that's an oldie but a goodie, Kevin Trudeau. Uh, but let's talk about what do we do first? Let me tell you about Lizzo, and then you can show us how to lose weight healthy.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because we don't want to starve, but we don't want to overindulge and be gluttonous, right?
No, and we want to enjoy our lives and have it be sustainable until we're 99 years old.
Exactly. So this is so crazy. Lizzo's lawsuit. Well, okay, the first YouTube ad that I saw watching a video about this was an ad by Lady Gaga talking about performing through the pain. And it was a pharmaceutical ad for a headache medicine called Nurtec.
Mm.
So now you've got celebrities and pharmaceuticals linking up. Not that they haven't already, but it's getting more obvious. Like you're gonna have them sponsoring these pharmaceuticals like they would sponsor a jewelry brand or something. They would be
It
Lady
makes sense
Gaga
that
for
that would be
Nurtec.
the next step,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Lizzo is like America's, you know, big sweetheart. I would like her music, whether or not whatever she looked like. I think her songs are fun and catchy. But she is part of this fat acceptance thing that we just cannot keep letting it go because, like we said before, it's going against the image of God and it's very unhealthy for you. So she's being sued by 3 backup dancers for harassment and creating a hostile work environment and pressuring them to touch a nude dancer at a club in Amsterdam and fat shaming them. So when I first heard this, I thought she was going to be shaming them for being too thin and making her look bad. But no, she was like saying that they could get fired if they gain too much weight. So, oh, and her Instagram name is Lizzo B. Eaton.
I saw that.
Yeah. And part of the suit is against her choreographer and their management company called Big Girl Big Touring Inc. And that's Big Girl GRRRL, like girl. Big
Girl.
girl. Yeah. So the choreographer's name is Shirlene Quigley. And Shirlene, the suit says was always very outspoken about Christianity and getting girls to convert while constantly berating everybody for not sharing her beliefs. So already this is getting weird,
It
right?
is weird.
So you've got Lizzo, the, rapper, art, pop. She's been on Saturday Night Live. She's been in movies and TV shows. And her whole thing is about fat positivity, but her management company is like all Christian and trying to get the girls to convert to Christianity. But the same time, this lady was making overtly sexual comments with bananas. This is all in the lawsuit. Like I read the documents, you know what I mean? Like point number 12. And apparently a lot of this witnessing behavior is unlawful in California. So they have some kind of case against this, like proselytizing of her Christianity, but also Charlene would be like talking about pleasuring herself and at the same time trying to get them to come to Jesus. And it's just create a really weird environment for these backup dancers. And then someone sent me this video about Madonna and Ariana Grande at, I think it was like the American Airlines performance, but it was Madonna talking to Ariana Grande about bananas. She brings a banana on stage and she's like, "Do you like bananas?" And she's like, "Yeah." And Madonna's like, "Do you ever lick them or suck on them?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Have you ever frozen one?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she almost asked her if she's ever had sex with a banana, but she like put it up to innuendo. This is on
Oh,
stage. Madonna and Ariana talking about frozen bananas. And she gives her the banana and she's like, "You can take this underneath the stage and, do whatever you want with it in private."
Ew.
was like, I have heard way too much stuff about bananas.
Ew.
Yeah. So there's
That
something,
whole industry is just so gross. Like it's getting grosser and grosser and grosser. It was gross and now it's like getting worse.
this case is bananas. So
Nice.
the, the backup dancers would be expected to go out partying at clubs with Lizzo and, quote, endear themselves to her. And Lizzo said she had eyes and ears everywhere. So now it's getting creepy. Like, you better work, bitch, for me.
Uh-huh.
And if you get out of line and have eyes and ears everywhere. So these girls were hired through a televised competition called Watch Out for the Big Girls. As and as one of the competitions, contestants were told they would be required to participate in a nude photo shoot. So yeah, and that made some of these girls uncomfortable. And this whole case is like example of the sexually charged and uncomfortable environment that Lizzo's employees were forced to endure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the Quigley lady is accused of overtly pushing an opposition to premarital sex while simultaneously openly sharing sexual fantasies and admissions of self-pleasure. So weird, freaking weird people. Drivers of Lizzo's tour bus were gratuitously flirtatious and played sexually explicit songs on tour, which was called the Special Tour.
Ooh.
What is that? That doesn't even sound good. Um, so while on tour, Lizzo took the dancers to Amsterdam's notorious red light district to a club where patrons were expected to interact with completely nude performers, including, okay, this is R-rated. I'm sorry, it's not PG tonight. The performers, including catching dildos launched from the performer's vagina and eating bananas from between their legs. So this is what Lizzo's doing on tour in Amsterdam. It's bananas. Uh, in Paris, they were deceived into going to a club called Crazy Horse to study dance moves, but it turned out to be a strip show. Other complaints included Lizzo's management, who they said were all white, fat shaming Black dancers about gaming weight. And this is the least scandalous thing in there, the fat shaming. I was like, what is this? Bananas and Amsterdam? And apparently she is threatening, like she'll crack her knuckles and be like, you're gonna get it. Like, what? But so this is what was the impetus for our show tonight, because bad acceptance is in the news and I think it's on the way out. I just my friend of mine, Gina, is going to be writing an article about why the body positivity movement is crumbling because of all the lies that we've been sold about how great it is to be fat,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't want to starve and we don't want to overindulge. We have to repair our relationship with food because that is something that we need, just like it's a blameless passion, right? You and it's a allegory to how much we need Christ, and that's what fasting is, that Christ replaces everything, food, water, air, all of the elements that you need to survive. Christ is those things, right?
Right.
So what what would you recommend if to somebody who, you know, has the will and the willpower to try and make some changes? What would be the first step?
There's a few ways to go. Um, Number one is to stop listening to the lies. I
Okay.
think to get out of the noise, like, and also stop believing your own lies. Because I think at a certain point, you have to wake up from your own, like gaslighting yourself. Like, oh, well, I can't make it to the gym because I don't have time, or I can't eat right because of money. Like, whatever your thing that you're sticking on is, like, you have to just drop it and start from square one. And probably that would be to go get around people that are fit. A lot of these people don't have
Mm.
anyone in their life that is fit. So how would you even know what it's like to live a healthy lifestyle if you either are super isolated, a lot of these people are really, really isolated, like women that are married that never leave their house, like, and they just watch TV all day, that sort of thing. Like to get out and to be around people that are fit and to see how they're living.
You know,
Um,
it's so interesting, and then you can keep going. I heard that the one of the biggest indicators of whether or not you will be overweight is if you have overweight friends.
right. Absolutely. I mean, aren't you the product of the 5 people that you hang out with the most?
And then you can be like, well, I'm fat, but I'm not as fat as her, or
Exactly.
and then you can just keep like,
And all those people with the same sin, if you will, are just validating each other. Oh, you know what? We've been working so hard. Let's just go to get chips and salsa tonight. We deserve it. Oh, okay. Well, we're all going. And that's your social group. And we're social beings. We're super social. Especially now, like life is just hard. We need to have social groups. So if that's who your social group is, you're going to be overweight because that's what
mhm,
they're doing. So I would
mhm,
say to find you know, whether it's starting to go to a class, that's a really good one. Just, you know, you don't have to like be at the front of the class, but you can just start going to the gym and maybe like a body combat class or a, you know, whatever you want, Pilates class. You can start to slowly meet people and see what they're doing.
mhm.
That's kind of where I would start.
Okay. I would say start with trying to just eat clean, meaning, you can have cupcakes, you can have pies, you can have whatever, but just make sure the ingredients are real food, organic food. Um, that's
I would
one.
say if you're going to do that, that's a risky game. If you've never like cut out like cupcake, like real sugar like that, I would say I tell my clients like, yeah, you can have cupcakes, but you have to make them yourself. You
Yeah,
show me
exactly. Yeah.
you have to put in the labor. You have to make them yourself. And I can guarantee you it's going to be way less than when you go to Kroger and buy a whole bunch of cupcakes. Sure, eat cupcakes, but you make them. They're
Yeah.
not going to be
That's what
nearly
I
that.
mean. You're using real sugar, real butter,
Yes.
real flour,
Yes. You
like
do the labor.
yeah, you're making them. Um, intermittent fasting. I mean, this has been like all the rage, but it's also very ancient.
Hmm.
And it's not starving yourself. It's like we would be the most terrible mammals ever if we couldn't go a day without eating,
Right.
right? Like, what kind of junk ass body is that? Like, just for food gathering and emergencies and all the things that, humans have to like endure on planet Earth. If you can't go one day without food, that's a problem,
It's a problem.
right? But it's so good for you.
Hmm.
Um, you go into a state of what's it called? Autophagy? Have you heard of that? Where your cells start repairing themselves. When you don't have all of this food to digest and your body's not sorting all of these things out and you just give it a rest, okay? It's not starving. It's
Right.
rest. It's
Right.
giving your GI tract a rest. It's giving your belly, your like all of the cells. And now that they're not working on processing food, they can do cleanup,
Right.
right? So they can go routinely look at like, do you have cysts? Do you have cancers? Do you have funguses? Do you like because it's trying to fuel itself and it's going to eat the crap first
Hmm.
when you fast.
Right. Right.
And then you can get into like ketosis states, which is that's debatable or whatever, but when you start burning fat for energy because you have nothing else to burn,
Right.
right?
It also shows you your level of addiction to food.
Mhm.
You know, real fast, your mental state can go haywire. And that's an indicator that, like, oh, this is probably definitely something I should be doing on a regular basis because I'm addicted to food. We don't want to be addicted to anything.
Right. We want to be addicted to Christ. That's the only thing.
That's really, yeah,
Yeah.
ideally, that's the only thing we're addicted to. But
Yeah.
food is a big deal. So, starting to, when you do fast like that, you can start to see, wow, I really can't go a day without coffee. Like,
Hmm.
I really, this is going to throw me off. I don't know if I can, you know, so it'll show you some areas to work in
Hmm.
mentally as well.
What did you bring to show us? I know you have some charts ahead.
Yes, just a little show and tell. Okay, so first of all, there's two ways to know you're fat. I mean, it's You
How
can
do you
just
how do
know.
you know if you're fat? Okay.
Well, you kind of know, right?
Yeah.
You can look at,
Yeah.
you kind of know, even if people don't tell you, but you look at the numbers. So whether people tell you or not, the numbers will tell you. There's two ways the numbers will tell you. Number one is BMI, body
Hmm.
mass index, and the other one is your body fat percentage. So are you fat? Can you see that? Let's see.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, hold on. There we go. Are you fat? Okay, so
Okay.
number one is your body mass index. If
Uh-huh.
you are over 30, and you can get this by, like, you can go online right now and put in your height and your weight, okay, and then it'll tell you what your BMI is. So it's only your height and your weight, right? So there's a few things about this that's a little bit off. It doesn't account for muscle gain or fat loss. So it's not perfect. But if you're over 30, you're in danger zone. Okay. And then I like body fat percentage a little bit more. So women, this is how you either get it at a doctor's office or you come to a personal trainer. We do it with calipers or we do it with bioelectrical impedance. I can show you my little machine. But
Hmm.
women, if you're over 30, really 32, you're in danger zone, and men over 25. So this is a lot more accurate, and that's like your total, the amount of fat in your total body. So I like body fat percentage more.
So, can you give us an example of somebody who is at the top of the healthy body mass index, like they wouldn't want to gain any more weight? Like,
Like if they have a high BMI but they're
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Let's say you're 130 pounds and your BMI is pretty high, but all you eat is Skittles and Diet Coke.
huh,
So you look fluffy.
uh-huh,
That's not great. And
right.
your, let's say your BMI is 28 or something. Okay. Then all of a sudden you find a trainer and they're like, stop doing that. No more Skittles, lean protein, no more super fluffy carbs. So a lot more veggies, a lot more water. So then they're going to stay at 130 pounds, but they tighten up and they lean up and you can see them getting toned. They're still
Mm.
going to have the same BMI.
Hmm.
So that's why BMI is a little goofy, because it doesn't account for, because you're still the same weight and you're still the same height.
Okay.
Right. But it's just an indicator of being like, okay, maybe this is something I should look for. Body fat's a little bit more accurate because it'll actually like get lower as your body fat goes down. So this is what I use on my clients. This is a little Omron. So you put your height and your weight and all that kind of stuff in here, and it uses bioelectrical impedance. Like, I don't even know how they do it, some kind of magic, but it'll show your body fat and your BMI straight away here. So this is how I test people, and we do it about once a month to see what is going on. But that's how you can know if you're fat without anyone giving you their opinions, because opinions can change, but numbers are pretty real. Right?
I was just thinking about like young families and new moms and the weight gain that happens when you go through pregnancy and the depending on how many kids you have, you can't always go to the gym. You don't have time. You literally are sacrificing your good looks and your health to take care of your kids. And a lot of women that look dumpy and frumpy and overweight, it's because too much is expected of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're not
Mm-hmm.
getting the support that they need from their husband first and from family members and friends secondly. So we do have a lot of compassion, for people who struggle with this kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm among you, right? So we're not shaming you, but we can do better. And it's funny, a lot of y'all have never been through an educational process where they expect excellence of you.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like me going to college for music, you're going to have professors who are like, that sucks, do better.
Mm-hmm.
And because they see better in you and they
Right.
know you can do better. And they're not trying to be mean, but they're just being honest about like, you need to practice more, right?
Right.
And you're grateful to them and you love them at the end because they disciplined you and they were honest and, supportive of you improving, not just staying the way you are.
Right.
Because if you play piano at a, kindergarten level and they just clap every time and, oh, that's so great. Yeah. you're never going to improve. So this is why we're doing the show, because we love you, not because we hate you, right? And
No, and it's fun. I mean, I think people, it's been a while since I started working out. When I really started working out was 2015. So it's been, and I lost 80 pounds in that year. So I remember being nervous. I remember being scared, and I remember my trainer, and I remember the things he said to me, and he believed in me, and he wouldn't let me get away with nonsense. And he said it in a kind way, and it's fun. And after a while, you start to get it, just like anything you put your mind to, you start to get better and better. And then it gets fun to work out. The
Mhm.
people that I hear say, oh, I hate working out, this is a big problem. I know you hate working out. It's because you don't do it. You feel uncomfortable. You don't know how to work out. You are nervous, in the poses. It hurts because you might be overweight, achy joints. But you start. You have to do it. You don't have to, but when you do, you feel better. And if the goal is to feel better, it's worth it.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're not you're shaming anyone, but it's your own game. This is your life. You do whatever you want. But when you are in shape, you are happy to wake up in the morning. Your mood is better. You have more energy. You want to eat well. You want to have good relationships. You want every aspect of your life to get better because you're paying attention to your body. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yes.
Everything changes when you start paying attention and taking care of yourself. And for women who have a history of really almost even hating themselves, like I don't know, there's just so many of us that have been taught like everything about you is wrong, blah blah blah. When you start taking care of your own body and learning about your body and feeling your muscles and feeling yourself getting stronger physically, you become more confident and you will be better in life. You won't let people take advantage of you as much. You can stand taller, your posture's better, you can present yourself better, you start dressing better. It feeds to everything. So to the women who are saying, I just don't know how to start, just start doing something. So you were talking about women that are at home and they can't get to the gym. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. There are YouTube videos. There are 15-minute things that they can do. Uh, but I would think the biggest thing is having a friend for accountability. Maybe
Mm.
go for a walk with somebody, but
Mhm.
having somebody in your life that is eating right and working out on a regular basis, like
Mhm.
add that to your routine first. So
Sure.
because it's the long game. You're not going to lose weight really quick. Oh, I've just always wanted to lose 20 pounds. It's not about those 20 pounds. It's a lifestyle change. And that's a way bigger deal than just the 20 pounds. Like the
Exactly.
benefits you're going to get after those 20 pounds. It's not about, you're not done after the 20 pounds. You now are a different lifestyle. It's your life is not the same. The way you think is not the same. The way you go grocery shopping is not the same. The way you interact with people is not the same. And I guess, we were talking about like fatter women are funnier. That's probably true because when you start to get disciplined, you don't tolerate as much nonsense. It's not funny to laugh at your own nonsense anymore.
Mm.
You have to get down to business. Like, oh, I can't do this plank. Silly me. I've always had a bad tummy. Like that's not funny at some point. At some
Right.
point, your back is going to hurt because your core is not good because you've never done a plank before. That's not funny. That's sad. Like we're talking 10 seconds a day doing a plank or whatever. So maybe it gets less funny. Maybe it gets, but that's kind of what a serious life is. Do you want to have back problems because you never did a plank because you thought it was funny? And then your friend was like, yeah, it is funny. You've never had a good, you don't really want friends like that. You want a friend to be like, yeah, you have chronic back pain because you've never actually attempted any kind of workout program, or
Mhm.
you are still eating chips and you've never actually done any research on nutrition and you think it's funny to go and binge on Mexican food. It's not funny after a certain amount of time. It's really not good for your health. So you go down one track while the others go down this other track. I mean, I don't know. So I think that's why it's really important to start finding people that are living the lifestyle that you want, if you do want it. And you have to decide if you really do want that lifestyle. I think some women really don't. And maybe instead of lying to yourself saying like, oh, I would lose 20 pounds, but I can't, just that's worse because you're lying to yourself. Don't lie. Just be like, I'm not willing to do the work and I want to stay at this weight. That's fine. And I think that's actually more virtuous because you're being
Mm.
honest. Listen,
Mhm.
I can't make it to the gym. I know I want those abs. Yeah, but there is no way that I'm going to do those kind of changes to get to that situation. So I'm going to stay right here. And I think that's more understandable. I like that type of client more. If I get somebody who's like just more honest, like there's no way I'm going to work that hard to get to this goal. But the people that are making excuses all the time, this is just not going to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a pedestal.
So the momentum is important, right?
Yeah.
And the reframing that it's not just a goal, like you said, once I make 125, then I can eat whatever I want.
No.
It's changing what you want,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
this goes along with orthodoxy too, and kind of like living a secular sinful life. Like you think, well, if I join the church, I won't be able to do XYZ anymore. But the closer you get to God, you don't want to do those things anymore. It's not like you're restricting yourself. You just don't desire that. Like I haven't had soda in 20 years. And I never want soda. Like I never look at a Pepsi and be like, oh dang, I really want a Pepsi right now. It's just it sounds disgusting because I know what's in there. It's deadly poison, literally.
Right.
Like you should just clean your toilets with Coke and Pepsi and keep it out of your mouth. Um, I'm serious. Like a lot of things at the grocery store are fine for cleaning products, but not for consumption.
Right.
And the cleaning products that we use to clean are even more toxic. So it's just like it's weird.
That is
But
a good analogy. Once you start, and it's also about trust. I think the people that have never tried a fitness program don't have any trust that it's going to work. Maybe they've done the Hollywood juice thing a million times and tried all these diet pills a million times, tried to be anorexic, tried whatever, and they fail. So they have a history of failing. So they don't trust that fit is possible for them. They've never been fit. They don't trust. Same way with orthodoxy. If you've never known God, you don't know what it's like to fight your passions or struggle against your passions and like give up a big one and then see how close, like how much more clean you feel.
mhm.
Then you start trusting the church and then you want to give up all of this other crap you've been doing. Like you feel the incentive. Same way with working out. If you just try a little bit, you might get a little bit of results and then you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, wait, I can do more. I can do more. And there's that when that momentum comes in and you just
Mhm.
get cleaner and cleaner, you know? And like you said, you start not wanting your old lifestyle because you know how gross it is.
And have you heard of almond moms?
No.
Okay, so so this is a complaint that a lot of millennials have about their mothers who never encouraged them to eat anything and always would say, if you're hungry, just eat a handful of almonds. And they can't like enjoy their life. They can't eat spaghetti or, croissants or what, like, because their mom was an almond mom and wanted, like, being thin was the most important thing to the mom for the daughter. So there's a lot of pushback against this. Like, that's where I think the body positivity and the anorexia, and it just keeps vacillating between two extremes.
Mm-hmm.
And we never just get to like normal, like curvy people size, right?
Right.
I would recommend if you're really big, just try and bounce around in the pool, right?
Yes.
That's the first thing. If I was super big, because I hate running, I'm not a runner. If you want to kill me, you're gonna like gonna happen because I can't run. But I'm very strong. Like I can lift things and I have a lot of endurance, but running, no. But I can swim. And so I'm just putting myself in the shoes of somebody who's 200 pounds and thinks they're always going to be like that and there's nothing they can do and they've tried everything. You hear that, right? I've tried everything. Um, so I would like, get in some water because it holds you up, it's buoyant, it's easy on your joints, it's cardio and muscle at the same time. It's fun. Uh, and give up soda, number one. If you just stop drinking pop, you will see the pounds like melt off. Do you drink soda?
Jamie, I go through right now. No, I'm on like a massive health kick, and I'm really glad for this podcast that it's falling in that same time period. But every once in a while, I'll go back to I'm so tired of working so hard. I'm just going to have a Diet Coke, and it comes back.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I have a tendency, not at the moment, but in the past, I've had like little weeks or two where I'll go, mostly when I go on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
If I let myself go on vacation, I'm like, oh, well, everyone else does it. Yeah. But what I have discovered about sodas, and hopefully this will keep me off of them for a while, is my coach was telling me that his brother-in-law is addicted to Diet Dr. Pepper, and he drinks like 3 a day, and he has the worst mood of anyone he knows. And I know a few people that are super Diet Coke addicts, and they have terrible moods. And when I
Mm.
go on my Diet Coke kicks, I feel terrible. And the only reason I know that is because right now I haven't had it in months, and I feel great. You
Hmm.
don't even realize how much it affects your mood. The aspartame in it is doing
Mm.
something to your mood as well.
Isn't
Um,
aspartame is E. coli poop?
that's a good way to put it. It is E. coli poop.
Yeah. And when they deliver the syrups to the factories that make the sodas, it says like if you touch this, it will burn you. It's like literally like corrosive and toxic in these concentrated amounts. But then they dilute it with carbonation and other flavors and stuff, and so it's not as deadly, but you're still drinking poison. Um, sugar, I mean, that's my drug of choice. So yeah, sugar is like the on the food scale, it's one of the worst foods you can have. Especially if you have like, insulin resistance and stuff like that. I just make sure when I eat sweets and candy, like you said, I make it myself. I know what's in it. I buy the organic ingredients, you know, um, no dyes, no colors. I don't eat a lot of flour, but I do like when we go out of town. Okay, so how I stay my size is just a lot of plain lean steak, no soda, all desserts I make myself. I don't eat bread at home, but I do when we go to restaurants because I love sourdough and I love croissants. So, like it's the mindset of feasting and fasting, and that's why I like the Orthodox way so much is because you get both. You get the benefits of self-discipline and restricting yourself, and then we have the days where we're allowed to have anything. Not anything, but we're feasting, right?
I agree. What's working for me right now is I'm very disciplined when I'm not. I have a when I'm not at church. I have a big church life, and there's always sweets, and just pastas and things like that. And for a long time, when I first joined, I was kind of weird about it, and someone brought it to my attention that I actually brought my own chicken and rice. Like I would bring my own Tupperware when I was new.
Uh-huh.
Um, and now I've like loosened up and realized this is my community, and so I'll go and get really excited about like trapeza after church, and I'll have sweets like, and I usually don't have cream in my coffee. I'll have cream in my coffee on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this idea of with your family when you're celebrating, when it's important to me anyway to be able to live my life rather than bringing chicken and rice to church on Sundays.
Right.
So during the week, I'm very disciplined if I'm by myself or breakfast, lunch, dinner. But yeah, if I go out with someone or if I have somebody over, I make sure to have some kind of sweets around just because we're celebrating together. I
Yeah.
think that's really, really important to have that swing room
Yeah.
because there's no way you can be 100% perfect every day for the rest of your life. You're going to fail and strike out and crash and burn. So I did another little drawing for everyone. This
Okay.
is I'll give you
The bronze
this.
medal.
This is the bronze medal. I didn't have the color of bronze, so these are the only colors I had. But this is a third place medal, and that's what I like to tell people to do that are training with me, and for myself. I always want to come in third and get the bronze medal in life in everything I do because you're in the marathon. You're not at the bottom. You're not right at the top, but you're in there, and you're
Yeah.
always coming in third. I can
Okay.
do another marathon. I'm good. Like you're getting 70% of it. Like that's pretty good. And if I'm a bronze medalist for life, that's not bad, right? I can go out to eat, I can have fun, but then the other part of the times I'm training for my marathon to make sure I'm still fit. So I really like that
That's a
idea.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what I do, I don't know if this is too much information, but if I feel like I need to slim down or um, tighten up or whatever, I will fast 1 day a week, like complete food and water. Just stop eating after dinner on Tuesday night. And then I go to bed, and Wednesday I won't have anything, maybe like 2 glasses of water. And then all day and all night. And then I eat breakfast on Thursday morning, like late, like brunch era. And this can be like up to 40 hours of not eating and letting my body rest. And it does make me tired. Like that's a day where I might just have to like watch a movie or something. I'm not going to go clean the garage out on the fasting day, but it does help me. It feels so good later. And you can get past the hunger, like the growly tummy, and that's all of your juices have to recalibrate because you're meant to go through cycles of hunger. Like if you're not hungry and you eat, that's I don't think that's very good for you and your
Mhm.
insulin, right?
I
Because
agree.
they're going to tell you like you need fuel in your body at all times to keep the fires of your metabolism stoked. And I'm like, I don't buy into that. I think that you need to have the hunger before you go for a meal.
I
And
would agree with that.
you need to be comfortable with being hungry without
Yes.
getting hangry and killing people because your blood sugar is out of whack.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of people, when they try to lose weight, they're like, can't handle just the feeling of your stomach growling. And they think that something's going to go wrong. Like, this is bad for me. I'm anorexic. I'm starving myself. And I'm like, a bodily thing that you can overcome with like water and lemon, but you really have to learn how to fast. Honestly, I think everyone needs to learn how to be hungry a little bit.
Absolutely. It is not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been so many times in history where people are literally starving. So it's almost like an insult. Like we're in the West, we're so overindulgent all the time, and our bodies do need a rest. We're just such consumers that if you can't go a half a day, I mean, people say that I'm starving, even, you know, it's mostly a mental state. It's
Yeah.
a mental state. I'm starving. I can't. I had to have chicken nuggets. I hadn't eaten all morning. I had to. I just had to stop. I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
Mm-hmm. And you'll notice you feel more powerful when you are not a slave to your body and its needs and its wants and everything that you're saying, no, I'm in charge here. And you're going to continue to operate even though your tummy's growling. You have to, go shopping, or you have to do this thing, and you have to continue with life um when your tank is on empty.
Right.
I don't know how to keep
It's like
explaining.
you're training for, I don't know, anything that happens in life where something is taken away from you. So you're choosing to practice, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're choosing to
Well,
practice being out, so
it
you're
it
get stronger.
it gives you confidence, like let's say you can't you're somewhere where you can't get lunch, and you're with a group of people, and
Hmm.
it's just not prudent for you to eat right now. Like, you can continue to function even though you're hungry, right?
Yeah, you're not going to freak out
And
and
you're
ruin
not.
everyone's time because you're
Yes, and you're
saying,
not.
yes, yes.
Mhm. So you can just handle your life like an adult, and like, I didn't have breakfast, but I'm okay because I have gone way longer than this without food, and I was perfectly fine,
Mm,
right?
good point. Good point.
It's such a sensitive topic, and you can talk about this forever. Was there any other little charts that you made that you wanted to share?
Um, well, I just, what does health look like? So I am not a registered dietitian. I am just a certified personal trainer, and I have had lots of trainers tell me how to eat, and I've trained a lot of women. And this is what I have found works the best on a regular long term basis. Okay. So I'm not a doctor, but it works for me. So, what does health look like? Like, what does your lifestyle look like? So, let me see if I can back this. Okay.
Okay.
There we go. So, you're
Exercise 30 to 45 minutes, 5 to 6 times a week.
okay. And that could be anything: running, swimming, playing with your dog, whatever. Calorie intake, I'm going to come back to this because that's sensitive too. But for women, between 1,200 and 1,600, and that's with caveats, okay? Sleep 7 to 9 hours, and that's so your body can recover and rest and deal with all of your mental stuff. And then your social circle, having
Mhm.
healthy friends. I talked about that at the beginning, but super, super important. Not just healthy, like fit, but healthy mentally, healthy spiritually. Change your friend circle if you're having problems. I can guarantee you, if you're like morbidly obese or you're having some major issue, it's because your circle is not great. Somebody, there are things outside of you that are keeping you there. So,
So
um,
when you say exercise 5 to 6 times a week, so that's like every day, right? With a rest on Sunday.
right.
And one of the best,
That,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, when I say exercise, that doesn't have to be like a crazy spin class. I'm talking like go outside and walk around the block.
Right.
Or walk your dog for 3. So if you want to be like going to spin classes, great. Like I'm all for that. But this is just for long term. You're doing the same thing when you're 70. This is the plan for now, for next year, for 5 years from now, for 10 years from now. This is like your average. This isn't like us going on a 20-pound weight loss. This is just your lifestyle, right?
Right.
This is kind of the calories you eat on a regular basis. This is the sleep you're getting on a regular basis. Like if it's just a regular Joe kind of day, this is what's going on. You have healthy friends. When you go out to dinner, y'all are kind of, you have it together. You're not ordering 5 pieces of cake at the end, you know. So that's, anyway, that's that.
I heard that rocking is one of the best exercises you can do, which is just walking with something heavy. Just
Huh.
like, so we go out for walks and I just have like 5 pounds in each hand, my little weights, and I do my arms while we walk, and we walk for, 30, 45 minutes, like at night or whenever. Um, I do a lot of stretching. I don't do yoga anymore, right? Because that will help keep you fit. But I do the stretching and I do Pilates, um, and the rucking, and I feel like that's enough to keep me at the same size, at least,
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
me eating almost whatever I want because I don't crave disgusting things like Oreos and Pop Tarts, you know.
Right.
But I do make my own desserts at home, so we don't go without. Um, we're not almond moms. I do now enjoy the feeling of having an empty stomach, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it's just so crazy. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I want you all to live a long time and I want you to get better. And I found this crazy formula in this book. Okay, so the fat acceptance and the transhumanism and the like big like blobs dancing is not good. And there is a formula for this in Black magic, and it's called the inversion of the senses doctrine. And it's basically talking about that you need to ingest things and experiences that disgust you to transcend the duality and become a better magician. And this is why a lot of cults, like for instance, cults of Kali, they live in the graveyard and they eat ashes and dead, rotting corpses, and they, just as disgusting as you can imagine. Um, and this is why some of these magicians would put out uh, advertisements for ugly women to do magic rituals with because they wanted to be attracted and disgusted at the same time, like attracted and repulsed.
Ugh.
It's so crazy. This is the book I'm going to be doing on Rockfin. And so they're talking about Aleister Crowley. Actually, when he was in America, he put out a ad and it says wanted dwarfs, hunchbacks, tattooed women, Harrison Fisher girls. I don't know what that is. Freaks of all sorts, colored women, only if exceptionally ugly or deformed, to pose for artists, apply by letter with photograph. So
Wow.
what they wanted was these like deformed people that they would be repulsed by, but they wanted to have sex with them for magic rituals. It gets so crazy. Like this book is not for the weak of heart, but I just wanted to show you guys that this reversion or inversion of the senses and the doctrine of sense reversion is black magic, and it is tied to the body positivity movement. So that's cray. um, is there anything else you want to talk about in the big fat show? I think we talk. I mean, all I would say is just quit eating. I know that sounds so trite and not good advice at all. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I am somebody who has been fat and is not fat anymore. I don't really struggle with ballooning weight. I've been the same size for like 10 years. And it's just because, for one day a week, I just don't eat. You don't have to do, you can do it a 10 hour. You can do like however long you can build up to it. I know people who go 10 days. I'm like, you're crazy, but it just seems to work. If I was wanting to lose 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds, I would just like do one day of eating, one day of not, one day of eating, and one day of not, because your body wants to get rid of that. It doesn't want to hold on to the
No,
weight.
it's pretty easy if you make a basic lifestyle change if you're that overweight. I don't know if y'all, and calorie counting has worked for me. And I know that's another thing people hate. Oh, calorie counting. I've tried that. It doesn't work. It freaks me out. Blah, 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 blah. If you don't know how much you're eating every single day, if you are eating more than you're expending, you're going to be overweight. So I don't know if you've heard of an app called MyFitnessPal by Under Armour. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's going to show up. Let's see. It's a little blue jumpy guy by Under Armour.
Okay.
Anyway, but you can track your calories and it also track your macros. And I've been doing it since 2015, and it's like second nature to me now. It is the best. I mean, I can't imagine not doing it. It's just a lifestyle habit that I'm doing. I started at 1,200 calories. That was when I was super fat. That was when I was 200 pounds. I dropped weight so fast. I dropped 10 pounds a month. I mean, bam, bam, bam. Because I was eating so much, I had no idea. A lot of it was alcohol.
Mm.
Not okay. And I wanted to talk about alcohol because it's not the alcohol, it is alcohol that's going to make you fat because it has sugar, right? In general. And it's also going to screw with your sleep. So your cortisol levels are going to go up. The next day, you're not going to be as active because you're going to have a hangover and you're going to eat crappier the next day because you don't feel good, and it's a cycle. But also, when you're drinking, you're much more likely to have your inhibitions go down. So you're going to eat junk food and things like that. So if alcohol's in your diet and you're overweight, that's a big kind of just be aware. And when I first started tracking my calories, I had no idea how much I was drinking. Things will come to your attention that you didn't know, especially if you have somebody looking at your calories with you. They can be like, this is what it is. My coach cut out, and again, this is like to each their own, but I drink coffee and I really like having creamer in my coffee. And he was like, oh, you want to drop 5 pounds? Cut out your creamer. I was like, why would I do that? I just have a little bit of creamer. He's like, oh, have you been logging it in your fitness pal? I was like, well, no, because it's just a few calories. Oh, so I started logging it, cut out the creamer, and I dropped the 5 pounds within, I mean, it was like that. So logging your calories can be really good just for awareness of just like a diary or anything, like putting down what you are putting into your body so you can be aware. If you're 200 pounds or more, you don't really know what's going in there. You haven't been paying attention for a while. You
Mhm.
may think you may think you know what's going on. I hear a lot of people being like, I actually don't really eat that much. I don't know what's going on. And they're not lying. They, in their minds, really think that they're not eating very much. And the problem is they just don't know what is eating too much and what is it. They don't know what it looks like to eat a normal amount of food.
Right. And all of the chemicals like we were talking about before. So it's not just the calories, it's like whatever Frankenstein crap they're putting in processed foods. Like even if you go to like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers and you have these exact calories, those are just TV dinners.
Right.
They're not nutritional, right? They might have the number that you're looking for, but you're not getting the nutrition. And so that's what drives people to eat more too, is because their body's saying, we still need vitamins and minerals, and you didn't get any of those. So
That's right.
you probably
That's a
keep
good point.
eating, right?
That's a good point. Do you remember lean cuisines?
Yeah.
When I was trying to be super, super skinny in college, all I would eat is lean cuisines. So
Yeah.
I would eat 2 eggs in the morning and a lean cuisine for lunch and a lean cuisine for dinner. And that's what I would eat. That was like my plan. And I was always miserable, but I was thin.
Yeah.
But I was miserable because I was hungry all the time. But I don't think I was necessarily hungry because of the calories. I mean, I was in a deficit too much, but it was because I had no nutrition. The sodium is super high and your protein is super low in those lean cuisines. So I was just malnourished for
Yeah.
years.
I think I used to eat like the Alfredo and broccoli one a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
And in my 20s, I thought Subway was healthy.
Me too.
I
Well,
was like,
Jared told us that you could lose weight.
yeah. I was like, I'm done with McDonald's. I'm going to Subway. But that's just bad. It's like nasty. The bread is like concrete in there. And the processed meats have all of the, what do you call them? Whatever beef jerky has in it. Try fight something late. Anyways, they have meat glue. Just find out what you're eating. Most restaurants are disgusting.
Right.
Unless it's like a hippie, shishi, organic, like Michelin 5-star good restaurant. We always have to make sure when we go out to eat if they use real butter, right?
Mm.
Because he's allergic to seed oils and I don't like to eat the seed oils. And so we're always constantly like, is this real butter or is it margarine? Or what do you cook on? Do you cook with like olive oil or canola oil? And so cut out seed oils, cut out soda, cut out anything artificial. And then you can just like whittle it down from there, like maybe pasta 1 or 2 times a week, right? Or
I would say mostly start injecting what you do want and the other stuff will go out. Like people are like, "Well, when can I have my cheat meals?" Like they're focusing on the
mm,
wrong stuff. Focus on the stuff you want in your diet. Okay, what's the best kind of chicken I can get? How much salmon can I get in my diet? Oh, where should I get the spinach? I mean, how much water? How do I get like I know we're not supposed to be drinking out of water bottles, but whatever. 7 of these a day. Like, how do you get more water? Well, if you start focusing on how do I get 7 of these in my body, I don't have time for Diet Coke because I have to be drinking water all the time. And actually, this fills you up a lot. So if you're going through crazy withdrawals because you're overweight and trying to cut stuff, water is really going to help. So if you can focus on how can I get the good stuff in, the other stuff will
mhm.
kind of make its way out.
That's a good point. Everyone's looking forward to like my cheat day because then I get whatever I want. But then what we're talking about is changing your whole desire of what you want.
Exactly. You're not going to want a cheat day. Like when I'm talking about going to church, having milk in my coffee, it's because I like that's I don't look forward to it. I do, but it's not like, oh, I can't wait to get there and get creamer in my coffee and have like a brownie. Like that's not I don't look forward to that all week. I look forward to the camaraderie of being at church and just enjoying being with my church family and eating what they're eating and just kind of relaxing a little bit. It's not like a binge fest. This is,
Mhm.
that's a gross kind of mentality. It's more of a lifestyle. That's my day to relax, not I'm going to go get Chick-fil-A right after,
Yeah.
you know?
And when you learn what's in this stuff, it's not going to be appetizing anymore. You're not going to crave McDonald's French fries once you know what they're made of, right?
Right.
So, I think that's all that I brought, and I hope everybody is positive about what should we be positive about?
About living, just even doing one little thing, doing something, you can start to be a little more confident and be proud of yourself and know that you're actually engaging in life. Just any little tiny thing. One thing you can do in one day, like whether that's sitting down and being like saying a prayer before your meal, or just can you commit to one thing this week?
Hmm.
Just start something,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I don't want anyone's feelings to get hurt. I don't hate anyone. I don't think you're ugly. I don't think you don't deserve love, but we can all do better. And so just think of me as your, hard ass music professor that sees the best of you. And Melissa is your hard ass trainer. And if you, can I say what area you live in if you want to contact Melissa about,
Sure.
in the Dallas area?
Yes. So I'm in Richardson, Texas, and I have a little private gym here. If you can be in person, otherwise we can do online or on the phone or whatever works.
And
So
I
I do.
guarantee you, if Melissa is your trainer, you're going to have more fun working out than you've ever had. I just know that's the kind of person she is. You're going to enjoy her company and you're going to enjoy getting fit. So, thank you all for watching and thank you for coming and tell us about your fitness YouTube channel.
Uh, Trainer Melissa, and there's some content on fitness and nutrition and some on orthodoxy, but it's kind of a new baby channel. So yeah, let me know what you
Okay.
think.
All right. Thank you for coming. And I hope you all love yourself and get fit at the same time.
Bye, guys.